Yo producers, it's Ozgun here. First of all, I wanna thank you all of you guys individually. We are now 20,000 people, we have 20k subscriber, and I'm really happy to see this producer community is growing every day and we are helping each other. So this is really cool. And as a thank you gift, I prepared a patcher patch that you can use in your build-ups like a washout effects, kinda similar to Endless Smile. So every FL Studio user can just download it, drag drop to the patcher and use it as a VST. So please take it as a thank you gift. It sounds like this, by the way. So it's reducing the volume, also cutting some high frequencies, giving delay and tons of reverb. And it's narrowing the stereo field, and you can just put it on the build-ups, make only one automation, and every detail it's gonna be handled by this patch. So if you come to today's topic, we are gonna talk about reverb, and I'm gonna use Fruity Reverb 2 to demonstrate to you two different scenarios. One is using the reverb on a vocal track, one is a synth, and we are gonna take a look how to properly use Fruity Reverb 2. And if you're ready, let's get into that tutorial. So alright, this is the vocal I have. I only made some small EQ fix.
When you're down and feeling like you're lonely, someone else out there feels just like you.
Okay, it's a dry vocal, and let's say we are gonna use the vocal inside of the track and we wanna give it reverb. Now we have two possible options. We can put the reverb inside the same channel with the vocal, which is number 2 in this case, or we can just use a send channel. If you don't know the difference, I already have a dedicated tutorial about it. Just check that out. To save time, I'm not gonna talk about the routing and stuff. I'm just gonna focus on the reverb. So first, let's put the reverb as an insert to the same channel with my vocal. And they going routed to vocal final, which is empty for now. So first of all, we have several buttons that we don't tweak most of the time, and we are gonna talk about which button doing which job in the sound. I'm gonna lower the dry, so I will have only the wet frequencies. You already know decay, which means how much reverb you want, how long reverb you want. Let's leave it somewhere around 4 or 5 seconds. Let's hear how the stock reverb sounds with these settings. Yeah, as expected, it's just taking like 4 or 5 seconds long. If you are working on a vocal track, I suggest you to take out the bass, which means you will not have bass frequencies in your reverb. It's kind of an EQ. And the crossover point just below the bass is determining where you want to make the cut. Which frequencies the bass note should cut is determining by the crossover point in here. And if you check the top left notification info bar, you can see which frequency we are cutting from. So other than that, in same section, we have the damping button, which is kinda doing some fancy job in the top end. It's gonna affect only the top end of the reverb. So let's see how it's gonna affect the sound. As you see, if you have the more damp value, you will have more crisp and more bright top end in the reverb. If you reduce it, the high frequencies is gonna change the response of the reverb, the character of the reverb is changing. I'm gonna leave it somewhere around here for now. And you see there's a size button, which means how big a room you want. If you do it like that, you can make a really narrow reverb. If you do it like that, it's gonna be so wide. You gotta use the size like that. If this is a main instrument, you should probably make a bigger room for that, so it's gonna shine all the way with a big spectrum. And for example, let's say you have a drum sample or some snare or something like that, a clap, you should have a narrow room. So that means you will separate the reverbs inside of your track, so there will be less chance to clash with each other. This is basically can help you to separate the reverbs of different type instruments in your track. So I can just put my vocals and synths with a big room, but I can just put my claps a bit small room, so I will have more clean mix down. The diffusion means if you have less diffusion, it's gonna make the room size reduce to triangle. If you move it to the top, your room is gonna more smooth, more rounded, which means if you have like a less diffusion, your reverb is gonna, you will hear the sound is bouncing from room to room. It's gonna change whole the vibe. I can clearly hear how bouncing the sound when I make it like a really triangle, really flat room. But when I put diffusion to the top, the room is gonna be more smooth, so my reverb is gonna be more smooth. Okay, let's go to the delay button here, which is the pre-delay. You can tempo sync here, but we don't gonna do that. The delay button determines when the input signal comes to the reverb, is there will be a gap between the initial sound and the reverb sound. So if you do it like that, the reverb is gonna start a bit late, like in this case, like 400 milliseconds later.
When you're down and feel, when you, when
it's like half second starting late. So the pre-delay value can change the whole vibe. It can make the reverb so clean if you use the correct settings. You can always use your ear, or you can just go to this website. I'm gonna put a link in the description. So all you need to do is just write your BPM and it's gonna calculate your ideal pre-delay and decay time. So it's a nice starting point if you don't know what to do. So I'm not gonna exactly copy the numbers, but let's say it's 58 milliseconds pre-delay. It's suggesting us that. So let's put it like somewhere around there. This much decay time, it's 3.5 seconds, but I'm gonna go for 4 seconds. I'd like to be a bit more in, especially if it's vocal. I think it's gonna be more smooth if I give a bit more than that. Let's hear how it's gonna sound.
when you're down and feeling like you're lonely, someone else out there feels just like you. Go outside and be kind to a stranger.
I think it sounds really fit to the overall vibe now because we just used the correct values. The high cut, the low cut, they are just the EQ. If you're confusing how to use them, just think like that. Right now, when I make them in this position, there's no cutting applying to the sound. It's like full sound. But if I start reducing from here, it's gonna cut the high frequencies. If I rise the low cut from here, it's gonna cut the low frequencies. You can just visualize it like that. And in the reverb, we usually don't need like 500 hertz area. We can just start a cut. Okay, so let's cut maybe 500 or 600 hertz. And I usually cut it like from 7K or 10K, that area. I just listen it with the whole context and find the sweet spot of it. But this value should be good around here. And we have the mid-side button. This vocal is mono, so if I put it to the side, it's just not gonna make sense. So this button is just determines the input value if you want to give reverb to the mid information or to the side information. And in this section, we have the modulation button. If you think reverb is too static, you can just activate the modulation. This is the drive at knob for modulation, and this is the speed. So if I just demonstrate it to you, it's gonna be make more sense. It's just changing and giving it some rhythm, some different vibe. I usually don't use that one if I'm not sound designing, but maybe you can just, use it like 10% or something. So it's gonna add a bit dynamic feeling to the reverb. And lastly, we have the stereo separation tool. This is only affecting the wet signal. If you do it like this, it's gonna be more narrow. And yeah, the left side is gonna make it more stereo. You don't wanna go 100% up, maybe somewhere around here, 20% or something. It's gonna just make the reverb a bit more white. So with a mono vocal, with a white reverb, you will completely cover whole stereo spectrum.
When you're down and feeling like you're lonely, someone else out there feels just like you. Go outside and be kind to a stranger. Watch what happens every time you do, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really decent and smooth. So one more tip for you, if you just determine the size and the diffusion with only listening the vocal, you can be mistaken and sometimes it's might not sound good in the full track. I don't have a full track right now, but just to demonstrate you, I'm just gonna put a bass. So I'm saying just fix the room size, the diffusion, and probably the damp value with listening your whole track. Listen it with the context. No one is gonna solo your vocal or synth, whatever it is, and listen only to that sound. They will listen your sound with full context. So we are not aiming to make the perfect reverb for the solo vocal. We are aiming to make it sound good in the full context of the track. So lastly, I like to do that after reverb. I like to put some OTT or something like that. Even sometimes I'm using Clipper, so maybe not more than 20%. I'm putting the downward compression to less, so it's gonna kind of boost and glue the channels. Maybe we can lower the gain a bit.
When you're down and feeling like you're lonely, someone else out there feels just like you. Go outside and be kind to a stranger. Watch what happens every time you do, yeah. When you're down and feeling like you're lonely, someone else out there feels just like you. Go outside and be kind to a stranger. Watch what happens every time you do, yeah.
I think it sounds pretty big, pretty decent. Also, you can just use a peak controller to have the sidechain reverb. To do that, just load a peak controller to the channel, and in here, right click, link to controller, go here, choose the vocal channel peak and choose invert, and that's all. So then all you need to do is determine this bass knob. It's gonna determine how much reverb at maximum you want, and it's gonna duck the wetness knob with every vocal hit.
When you're down and feeling like you're lonely, someone else out there feels just like you. Go outside and be kind to a stranger. Watch what happens every time you do, yeah. When you're down and feeling like you're lonely, someone else out there feels just like you. Go outside and be kind to a stranger. Watch what happens every time you do, yeah.
So this was the scenario on the vocal as an insert. Let's test the same thing, same settings in a send channel. I'm just gonna copy this one to here. I already set a sidechain compressors to save some time. Now I'm just gonna remove the reverb from here. And also I need to duplicate the OTT to this channel because we glued the vocal and the reverb with OTT. If we do it on the send channel, we should group them in another channel and put OTT to compare it to have the same vibe. So for the reverb channel that you add as a send, you need to remove the dry, make a wet 100% full, and that's all. Now you will have more control because you have a separate channel for your reverb.
When you're down and feeling like you're lonely, someone else out there feels just like you. Go outside and be kind to a stranger. Watch what happens every time you do, yeah.
Like, please let me know which one do you like. Right now, we exactly copied the same routing, but we just used the send. In my opinion, the send sounds more clean because I have the dry vocal with no reverb or no FX at all. I have the pure reverb vocal channel also. So now I have more control on that. Now if I want, I can just put an EQ to my reverb channel. Even I can compress my reverb channel. I can work on its stereo field. I can do so much stuff. I can give saturation to it. I can do this Abbey Road trick.
When you're down and feeling like you're lonely, someone else out there feels just like you.
I mean, now you have so much possibilities to do in the reverb channel. I'm using my patcher patch, which is just simulating a send inside of the vocal channel itself. So this is my way. I most 99% using a send for the vocal. So let's go test the same thing in a lead scenario. What if we using a lead something like that? So this is kind of future wave lead and future wave melody. So what we can do about it? So this automation I already set from here is just for little ear candy that we're gonna talk about later. But first I'm just gonna test the reverb. Let's move it to here. as an insert. This is the first thing I'm gonna do, and we are gonna do the same thing and use it as a send again. So let's use the knowledge that we learned in the previous part of this video when we are working with the vocals. I'm gonna, to be fast, I'm gonna just copy the decay time and the pre-delay time to save some time. So if this is a future wave sound, we need a really white, bright reverb sound, which should cover the top end. So now I know I need to put, if I put it a bit damp, it's gonna be more bright. I'm removing some bass. So I'm kind of testing the room, how it's gonna sound. I want to test some small room this time to demonstrate you. Let's see these settings, how it's gonna sound with the original sound. Yeah, like I made some contrast. I made the room size a bit small, but I gave it a bit stereo separation. So now the reverb sounds really cool in my opinion. And now I'm just gonna activate the peak controller from here as well. And I'm just gonna link this one to the peak, make it inverted. Now we will have the sidechain reverb as we did in the vocal. Like if I go extreme settings and push the decay all the way up, it's gonna give a really cool ear candy in my opinion. I really like that one. Okay, now I can just copy the OTT to hear how it's gonna glute when I put some compression. Sounds really nice. Before testing the same stuff with sand, I can just activate the other reverb that I already created before I shooting the video. So let's mute the reverb and see only the FX reverb that I created. If you see, I give it like 15 seconds of decay, full damping. I just made a big room because I just wanted to use an automated wet knob, only the MIDI have gaps. So this is another cool trick that I can give you. Just try to create some unique and weird reverb and only activate it at certain points in your melody. If you combine two reverbs together, so now it's really sound big and full. Okay, now let's mute this one and make a sound. Not to be confused, I'm gonna disable my FX reverb for now. Yeah, we're pretty much done. We sent the dry signal to the send and they are both going to the lead final. Everything looks good. Let's test how it's gonna sound. And you don't forget, we don't need any dry in the sand. If I compare them, so if you go back to insert, I think the sound is more smooth just because of the limiter that we used. So if I don't go this much extreme settings in here, probably in the synth I will use the insert method, but this is just my way to do it. So guys, today I demonstrate you how to properly use Fruity Reverb 2. And we just demonstrated on 2 different scenarios, in one vocal and in one synth. And we check and we use it as an insert, as a sound. So please let me know which one do you like most, which one are you using in your productions mostly. Today that was it guys. I hope you can apply this to your own productions too. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video. Bye bye.